Hi, it's Stephen here for the Idiot Quilter, and what I'm doing today is I'm just taking a bunch of scraps at random, and we need some new placemats. So I'm going to make some crazy quilt type placemats. This is my foundation piece right now, and you can see that I've just been taking at random scraps of material from my scrap bin and putting them together. This hasn't been squared up yet, and I'm going to layer it, or at least this is my theory. I'm going to layer it. I might do some random fancy stitches across this, or I might do some embroidery, maybe in the center. I'm going to sandwich it like a quilt. I'm going to put a solid piece of material on the back of it, and I'm not going to bother sewing a binding around the edges of it. I'm going to do the, I don't know what they call it, but basically a blanket binding, I think it's what it's called, where you just stitch around wrong sides together, leave a gap, and pull it through, and then sew up the gap. So we'll see how this works out. Okay, so now I've hooped this, and I'm putting on this sort of feather design quilting pattern using the embroidery, and I have it layered on my quilting batting, and I also have a layer of tearaway stabilizer just to make the stitches a little bit more even in this. And this is what the pattern I'm doing looks like on the screen, and you can see here where it's going with that. So I'll show you what this looks like when this is done. So now I've finished doing all the quilting, and I've put the backing onto this and trimmed up my sides so that everything is nice and even. And all I'm doing right now is I am top stitching in a variegated purpley colored thread that picks up some of the colors in this all around the outside edge, and then I'll give it a final press and I'll show you the final result. Okay, so here's the finished product. As you can see, it's very colorful. It's a crazy quilt style of placemat, and I've got one done. This is the back. The back is just plain. I didn't bother to let the quilting go all the way through the way I did it this time, so it's just a neutral one, but you could use this as a placemat too, so they're reversible. I did a top stitch all the way around the outside to finish it off, and I think it turned out pretty good. Now here's my problem. I got to make a second one to match this, so I'm debating on whether or not I will try to do the placement of the material the same, or just use the same scrappy bits and it'll just have a little different look, that's all. Doesn't really matter because we'll be using these for every day on our table, and they're just fun. So I hope you enjoyed this. Bye-bye.